bags, and my wife and I have been over there and watched her do this before, and it's really neat. And I've been involved in food storage and all the survival for 30, 40 years. And it was very interesting, this new mylar bags. Also, all of the information and everything from the PowerPoint and everything is up on the website from last week. The dialogue on a lot of it's already up for this presentation, and that you can find on communitypg.us, and it gives you all the links there. Next week will be Fuel, Power, and Fire by Mike Wyatt. He's got a lot of real-life experience in a lot of areas like this, so it'll be interesting. So I turn the time over now to Susan Barker.
I decided to title this class "What's for Dinner" because if you have been like us and have stored tons and tons of wheat and beans and rice and dry milk and honey and oats in your basement, our problem many years before, we stored it up, time's up, it's expired, we'll throw it away and start again. We've done that a couple times. And so it sits there, and the church, and I kind of have a PowerPoint here so I can kind of guide myself. On the church's website, it says, it recommends now that you have a 3-month supply, drinking water, financial reserve, and a longer term food supply. It doesn't even say a year, it says longer term. And so, just to start off with though, Brent a couple weeks ago did his emergency pack, and one of the things that I saw online, and I just happened to run down to Honeyville Farms right after work, because I was wanting to try these, and I've never tried them. It's called a Mayday Emergency Ration Bar. I'm guessing this whole thing's 2,400 calories. Have you seen these?
During CERT training.
Yeah. Yes, they were in CERT training, and that's where I remembered them. I looked online. This was $4.49 down at Honeyville Farms, and
Where's that?
it's in Brigham City, where the temple is. Just keep going north, west, north. And it's just down there, like quite a ways.
Well, you get out to the edge of the city and go a little bit farther, and it's off to your right-hand side, on the east side of the highway. Like say if you were driving to Honeyville, but it's just out of town from Brigham City.
And so we haven't tried this yet, but I just redid my emergency backpack. I keep it in my car. I figure my car will be where I am. Oh, hi, come on in. And so I pulled out what I put in there a year ago, and it was granola bars, cocoa, and oatmeal. And I decided, since doing all these classes, that's probably not the smartest thing, because if we didn't have water, what am I going to do with my oatmeal and my cocoa? And so pretty much in your emergency backpacks for food, you want something that you can just open up and eat, because you don't know how much water you're going to have, if you're going to have heat to cook things. And so the granola bars, the instant things you can just open up are good. If you have a large family, that could get pretty pricey, because you're supposed to change it every year. And I suggest doing it like in October, because Macy's has the bulk sales in the fall. And anyways, I think we're going to try these. I still have my oatmeal, or my granola bars and my stuff in my car, but I'm going to put a couple of these in there just in case. Because I did figure it out. I didn't bring it because we had so much to bring. I had one baggie full of food, and it was 2 granola bars, a ravioli, a can of tuna fish, something. And I added up the calories on that, and it was 1,000 calories. And then what I had left was just granola bars. So I figured the first day, I ate good. The rest of the week, I'm eating 2 granola bars a day. So you need to think about how long you want to live.
Susan, those, when you taste them, I think you're probably going to find, unless they've changed a lot since the last time I used them, they're a lot like a shortbread cookie, a real dense shortbread cookie.
That's what I think. I don't know. There was another brand, and the guy at the store said that one tasted like pineapple and something, and my husband hates pineapple, so I thought, okay, I'll buy this one. I don't know. I don't know. And it expires in 2018. So, also I was going to say, these are good to minus 22 degrees to 145 degrees. And the Coast Guard approves these because they're out, I guess, on the sea, and who knows what the temperature. So I think it'll be good in my trunk, because I haven't seen below 22 degrees for a while. But anyways, that's a good thing too. The temperature won't bother us. Okay, so that's just a real quick little blurb about emergency. The 3-month supply. If you think about what you have in your freezer, your refrigerator, your cupboards, I bet you everybody probably has a month. I don't know, but if you look around, you probably have at least a month. And one thing I'd suggest doing is just doing a quick inventory and see, oh, we have 24 boxes of macaroni and cheese, maybe we need 10 more cans of tuna fish. And so that would help you with that short term. It's rotating, you're using it all the time. You could use a can of ravioli and then replace it with 4 cans of ravioli and build up your supply like that. And it's kind of what the church recommends is everyday use, and then add in also your wheat and beans into that. Let's see. So, where I want to get to. And then I've gone on the website and I've looked at a lot of websites, and I forgot to bring them, but they're on Sten's website. And there was a lady in Arizona. She was the area rep canning person. I don't know what that calling is, but it sounds like she was over 4 or 5 states, and she went around to the canneries, and she did presentations in the wards and different places, and they videoed her, and she's on YouTube. Her name is Wendy DeWitt, and she has a 26-page booklet that you can go on. This site will be, this site will be on the website, and then you can go and download it. And she says she gives full permission for anybody to download it, copy it, use whatever she's done. And her system is basically, I don't want to go into that one to give you her top 10. Before she does it, I'm not going to take the time to show it to you because of the time. She has just a funny top 10. It's like, what if, like David Letterman's top 10. But I pulled out 4 of them where she gave a crazy scenario and then the answer. And one of them was top 10 reasons I don't have a food storage is I paid my tithing for 24 years and now the church probably could give me a little bit of food. So that was her. And she said, so I'm just quoting her, with all the food, the silos, the farms, the canneries that the church owns, they could feed 4% of church members. That's it. Does that, I don't work for the church, Brother Taylor, does that ever ring a bell? Sound right? I've never heard of it?
That's good to know.
Yeah. She said she's done surveys in different states, and she said less than 10 to 20% of states raised their hand and said they had a food storage. And the top 10 things, we'll all band together at the stake center and we'll all share. She goes, well, the 80% that come to the stake center or the city or Millville Elementary to share don't have anything. So what are they going to share? And so she said it's going to be a real problem because the amount of people that actually, and I think in Millville we're probably a little better. I know Brother Brown is fabulous about sending rolls around every month, or not rolls, sign up order forms in our ward every month with 2 items from the cannery, and you just say, I want 6 cans of wheat and 2 cans of powder something, and you give him your money, and then he shows up at your door with our can of food, and he's done an amazing job with that. Then there was one that she talked about, well, I don't have a year's supply, but I have a gun. And we all, y'all hear the thing of, are we going to have to shoot somebody? Are they going to come get our house? And that whole scenario, that's a totally, I'm not even going to go there. But her answer back was, you don't want to become the guy with the gun because you don't have storage and your kids are starving She goes, if your kids are starving to death, you're gonna go out and do what you have to do to feed your kids. And she said, think about who you are and who you don't want to become, and that's why it's important to have food storage. And then another scenario is the government and the city will come and help us all. Not going to happen. Not likely. If we had one little catastrophe right here centralized in Millville, we could probably get some help. But if we had an earthquake along the whole Wasatch Front, like in Surrey, they told us they're going to go to Salt Lake, they're going to go up and down, they're going to head to Brigham City and down to Provo. We're weeks away from any help. And then you never know if the roads are destroyed, if it's an earthquake, if anybody could even get into the valley. And so, pretty much from our CERT classes and from everything I've seen on the websites, we're pretty much on our own, you know. And it's, what you have is what we have. And we can sort out how we share and do all that if we ever had to, and hopefully it all works out. We don't ever have to use this stuff. I'm hoping that when we retire, we just have food. What's Dan?
You might tell about what the sheriff told us about the percentage of population in Logan in apartments versus homes.
Okay, a sheriff in our ward, we were talking to him, come on in, and we were talking about food storage and being this area, and I was going to say that it was Kathleen's husband. I see that list go around in Relief Society, it's pretty full, so I'm thinking we're doing pretty good. But the sheriff told us that half of the homes in the city of Logan are rentals. And so that probably means half of the town of Logan, not the outlying areas, don't have much. Because we're talking college students, you know, low income, don't have any money, surviving. So there's a huge problem right there. So if there is an emergency, they're going to hit Logan before we ever get any help. So that all sounds kind of depressing. Now we're going to go on to the exciting stuff. Oh, and I just wanted to say too, this Wendy DeWitt, her system, I'm going to just tell it really quick, and her system is you find 7 meals you like for dinner, 7 meals you like for breakfast. Say you like spaghetti, and you go out and buy 52 bags of spaghetti and 52 bags or cans of ragu, and you put it in your food storage. And she goes on with that, and she says she stores it under the beds and all that. I don't think I could do that because the rotation, you'd have to do that almost every year, which would be crazy, and then it'd be very expensive. I think it'd be very expensive. But she also has some really good ideas. She uses pressure cookers, food savers, the sun oven. She uses, she has a lot of information, and we will get this to you. A lot of information. She has a food saver with an attachment that you suck the air out of jars, and it, like you could put chocolate chips in here and expand your life a couple of years by using the food saver. And she goes into that. And so that's one idea. If you have lots of money and you like shopping and you have a big cold storage room, you could do that. And then you would have real food. This is like pretend food, right? You'd have real food. And you can't, I wish I could turn this around. Can I turn this around without breaking it? Okay. This is another guy's site. Can you see that at all?
Sort of.
Anybody? What they've done is they've taken your food storage and they say, okay, you can have 1 cup of wheat a day, 1 cup of oats, 1/3 cup of rice, 2 tablespoons of milk, 1/3 cup of honey, and 2 teaspoons of salt. So that's all you had in your food storage, and you wanted to ration it out day by day. That's what you get. And so, I don't know if you can see it, but this is like your milk and your rice. And they kind of, you know, you could have oatmeal and for breakfast, and you could have beans and rice for dinner. And I'm sure after a month of that, you're going to be really tired of beans and oats and rice. Okay. So what I've done is, so now I'll just go into my story and what we're doing with the time. I started a year ago. Do we need another chair?
No, I'm okay. I understand.
I started a year ago. I decided I was going to organize my kitchen cupboards. So I bought all these cute jars at Walmart. These are $2.97. These are $1.97. I didn't know what I was doing. I just liked the way they stacked in the cupboard and they look cute. I found out that these are actually peat jars that are very food good. And I've seen two different websites. One says you can't put an oxygen absorber without a metal lid, and another site said you could. So this one has an oxygen absorber, and I'm going to see what happens to it. I don't know. So I just found that out. But all these jars I bought are like some of the best you can buy for everyday food storage. So if you take things out of your boxes and you put them in here, it's better because you can seal them up and they'll last in your cupboard. Okay? And then I started at Macy's. I'm just telling you what we did. They have Augustin Farm Foods in that little preparedness area. And I decided I didn't want just oats and beans and rice. So I started buying some different cans. And I had this great can collection of food that I never opened, never touched. It was just on the shelf, safe, and there it was, just like the rest of the stuff. And so, so I started doing that all winter long. Whenever something was on sale, I'd buy a can. And you can get some things really inexpensive, like creamy wheat for $6, or, you know, and then some of them are a little more pricey. And then, so I had my kitchen cupboard was cute and organized. I had these little cans in my basement, and then our food storage. And I never touched any of this stuff because it was, we're saving it for someday, right? So what I did at the beginning of the summer is I went into our basement and I did an inventory of what we actually have. And I was totally amazed at having 44 cans of one thing and 6 cans of another. And I realized after doing that, I don't think I need to buy this item for a long time, and then I really need to stock up on this. So it's a really good idea to take an inventory of all those beans and things you have. But where everything changed for us, and what this whole class is about, is I went to Arizona last summer to visit my sister and my mom, and she was preparing a trip to Alaska, and they were going to go for 3 or 6 weeks. They went 3 wex, came back, and went another 3 weeks, and they bought one of the smallest little camping trailers that they could buy because they wanted to pull it with their little 4x4 car. They didn't want a lot of weight. And so she heard about a lady called Chef Tess, and that's one of her books right there. And she went to one of her classes. They had classes in Gilbert, Arizona. They also have a Honeyville farm in Brigham City, which we mentioned earlier. And she went to Chef Tess and learned how to do meals in a jar, and then, I'll come back to this in a minute, we're going to do 2 parts, and then meals in mylar bags. And she made up enough of these little meals to put in their camping trailer, to haul all over Alaska, and she said they only ate out once a week. The other 6 weeks they had these. And she said they were good, it worked really well. And she opened up one of the meals, and we had some chili for dinner, and I was shocked at how good it was. I was totally surprised. So, on the way home, I told Stan we got to stop at Honeyville Farms in Brigham City, and we went in there and we bought some tomato powder and some quick cooked beans and some mixed vegetables, I think. And we came home, and then I just started experimenting with all the stuff I had. And then if you go on Honeyville Farms and you go to the blog and you go down on the right side, they have recipes and that in their alphabetical order. And the bottom it says videos. You could click one of those and see her do this whole demonstration. And then they also have like if you want meals or breakfast or pies, or she has all these recipes that they've developed. And when you get to the bottom, you can hit older recipes. So you can print off hundreds of recipes off that blog website. So what I did is I went onto that, and I couldn't afford, they really have fancy stuff. They have like mushrooms and artichokes, I don't know. They have everything you can think of, freeze-dried or dehydrated, what do they call it? Anyway. And so I thought, well, I'll just use what I've got and try to make some meals. So we came up with some meals, and they're on this side. 6, 7, 8 of them. And what we found is we actually did a lot of things right, and there's a few things that we needed to tweak and fix, because I didn't know what I was doing, really. But I'm going to show you here tonight, making 4 different meals in jars. Can you guys see these down here? Okay. So here's my little recipe, and this is the exciting part, because what's really crazy, and Charlene knows it, and Stan knows it, like in our family, I'm like the worst cook in the world. And everybody knows it. And, you know, if Blake was here, he would tell you could have built houses out of my loaf of bread because they were so hard. So this is pretty crazy that I'm doing this, but this doesn't seem like cooking. It just seems like putting stuff in little jars, and then you open it like a TV dinner and eat it. It's wonderful. So for my taco, oh, and then I was going to tell you too, let me show you. Okay. You can buy big jars, you can buy little jars, just so you get perspective, and I'll do this in a minute. This is, at the church cannery, these are mylar bags. Whenever I go in there and buy these, everybody gives me a story they don't like about them. Like the seams break, they stacked them, mice get in them, but at this moment, this is my favorite thing, and this is why. I cut them into little packets, so the seams aren't so stressed, I guess. It's not going to break as easy. The church's canning system with the number 10 cans and the oxygen absorbers is actually the best thing I've seen on anything I've researched for the way to store food. So take it to, you know, them to do it the right way. But you can store in any size you want. And then I have this jar. But Stan and I would never eat all this. We had 2 couples over for dinner, so there were 6 of us, and I opened one of these, and we had plenty of food. But if you have 6 kids, you're going to want bigger amounts. So what I was going to say too is this little bag should be a gallon, and so this should be a pint, but they don't hold quite as much as these little mylar, or these jars, because of the seam space it takes up. So I'll show you what I did here. And I'll show you my jars, and then I'll show you the mylar bags. Okay, so one of the things we did is taco soup. So this is why it's fun and easy. This recipe is a 1/2 cup of cooked beans. And I'm going to get, when I get done here, I'm going to tell you my next great idea. So there's your beans. And then 1/2 cup of...
Susie, when you say cooked beans,
These are a little pricey, quick cooked beans. They cook in 20 minutes.
that's different than
Pinto beans.
pinto beans
Yeah.
or whatever you
But
have.
what I've come to, I'll kind of jump ahead and back, is I'm doing all this and putting it in mylar bags and cans for long-term storage. Then I'm going to go downstairs in my basement and get my pinto beans out and cook them overnight and do the exact same thing with them. So I'm using up my old stuff. But I'm glad you asked me that. You can't put old food in these jars and seal them. You need to have new food. It would be like put my 20-year-old dry milk in here and seal it. Well, it's not going to be good for very long. So you're kind of wasting the purpose of that. Okay, so these are really good. I don't know if you can see those. Those are mixed vegetables. This is taco soup. And then this is 1/4 cup I guess it's by TDP, taco meat. It's actually the only one I like, except for the sausage. I don't like the hamburger or the chicken very well, but somebody else might. And then this is the greatest invention of all time, is tomato paste. And I'll just open up, you'll see what it looks like. And Barbara Ungen told me, see what it's like. It makes spaghetti sauce, taco sauce. It's fabulous. And it's on sale right now for $19. Barbara told me she took her dehydrator, tell me if I knew this one, Barbara, and her tomatoes, and she dehydrated them, and then she put them in her blender and got like this much.
Yeah, it's like an 8, it has like 8 drawers to it, so it's big. And yeah, I got probably this much in a quart jar.
Maybe a
How many
taco.
pounds of?
I bet there was 6 pounds.
6 pounds. So that's why this is really pricey. It's because it does cost a lot to make this, but it goes in everything. Okay, and then I have 2 tablespoons of Now, did I do 2 there? I did top, I don't know where I did. Okay, 2 tablespoons of peppers. And then a tablespoon of taco seasoning. Okay, this is one of the things that I did that I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I use taco seasoning. And I called Honeyville Farms today because in her book, and when she makes these recipes, she says, oh, this is good for 7 to 10 years. Oh, this one's good for 10 to 15 years. Oh, this one's good for 5 years. So I called him and I asked him, how does she know how long all this food is good for? And he said, you take these cans and you look at them and 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 5 to 10, whatever. And the one that has the least amount is what they advertise that that's good for. I thought, well, doesn't it lose like half its shelf life by opening it? And they said, not really, because you're just redoing it. So, taco seasoning. I have no idea how long this is good for. So, what they suggest is you make your own. So, there's a site called Budget 101. It is the most amazing site. There's hundreds and hundreds of soup mixes, sauces mixes, spice mixes. You can make your own. So I'm going to put, let's see, a tablespoon of taco seasoning in there. Oopsie, that'll be spicy. Okay. And some teaspoon onions. So, and this is just right from the tree. Okay. So you can see that's everything in my taco soup. And I've made these to fit exactly in my mylar bags. Now you can see I have a little bit more space in here. So what I've done is I've just added some more beans in there to fill it up. Oopsies. And then I'll get my oxygen absorbers out in a minute. You put an oxygen absorber and there's that one. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can use the same thing and make 3 or 4 different things. Okay, this one will be chili. So it's 3/4 of a cup of beans. And then it is 3 tablespoons of taco meat. See, this doesn't seem like cooking, does it? This is like playing house or something. I don't know. This doesn't seem like cooking to me. Okay. And then 2 tablespoons of powdered tomatoes.
So Susan, when you open that to heat it, what do you add? Like
Water.
How much water to that pint?
About 3 cups.
3 cups. Okay.
Just water, yeah.
And then how much is that supposed to feed? How many adults?
This will feed easily, well, the taco soup will feed like 6. Some of these are like 3 or 4, some of them are 6. It's but you know what happens? This is all dehydrated. I mean,
Right, and expand.
yeah, look at these little peppers. They're shriveled up to nothing. And so when you eat this stuff, it just expands in your stomach too. So you get really full because you eat it and it's like, whoop. Yeah.
Have you eaten all the stuff that you prepared?
Yeah, we've thrown a lot.
Oh,
of it
yes.
away.
And many variations thereof.
So does it taste what you expected it to taste like?
Actually, I did a little survey with our kids. We gave our kids like 6 or 7 different meals for Christmas, and we told them, okay, you gotta go home, you gotta eat them, and I'm gonna call you, and you gotta give me a report. And the reports were, well, that was better than I thought it would be. To, you have way too many spices and everything. To, we added more spices and chips and cheese. And so it's all taste, you know. And so, like, if you don't like onions, you don't have to put onions in. If you don't like peppers, you don't. And my daughter-in-law said, your spaghetti was great, but I couldn't stand the peppers. So, you know, you put what you like in. This is what.
So it'd be a good idea to try them.
Yeah.
And then customize them to your taste.
Right.
It's fun.
What we do is I would do half this amount and cook it, and then I'd make Stan eat it, and I'd eat it. And we'd say, oh, this is horrible. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. What else does it need? Oh, it needs a little bit more tomatoes.
So you fine tune it.
Yeah, yes.
Do you find yourself adding more water? Because I look at all of that, and 3 cups of water
Yeah.
would just suck it all up, and so it would just be
And the
really
longer you
thick,
cook
like
it,
oatmeal, I guess.
the more it gets. So, I say 3 cups, but then you can add a little bit more. I did learn a tip on a lady online. You can go on YouTube and just type in dry meal in cans, and there's all kinds of people doing videos. That if you add too much water, she said add a teaspoon of dried potato flakes and stir it up. This stuff is really good. And she said she uses it in tacos and all kinds of stuff.
If it's too watery.
If it's too watery, yeah. Okay, I forget where I was. Okay, where was I? Okay, now did I put my onions in there? No. Okay. So I'm gonna put some onions. Let's see. My problem is I can't see. So here's some onions. Okay, and I'm gonna do my peppers. And so you know what? If I did this and I forgot, whoops, I made 3 of these, it really wouldn't matter. Because I have 3 tablespoons of onions in there. And then this calls for beef bouillon, which I bought this kind. Let's see. You guys get the idea what I'm doing? It's just, what? Hi, Mike.
No, you had a question.
Oh, a question? Yeah.
With the potatoes in there, the potatoes really don't add any flavor. They just assume the flavor that's there, correct?
Yeah. They just kind of, it's too much water, a little bit of potato.
So do you boil the water first and then pour that into it, or do you cook it all together?
You know, you cook everything all together, but if you boil the water first and pour it in, like if you were in an emergency and you were trying to conserve your energy and your fuel, you know, it might be a good idea to stick it in there, let it set a while, then heat it up, just try different things. Or some of them say, well, there's a potato soup, all you do is add it to boiling water. So, you know, I usually just put it on the stove, get it cooking, then just turn it down and simmer it for like 15 minutes. Is how I want most of these. Okay. I am going to add a teaspoon of this just because I like this stuff. I don't know if it'll take away my shelf life or not. Okay. And that is chili. And again, that would fill up my mylar bag. But I'm going to add a few more beans in there. Right. Susan?
I saw a thing on TV and it was about spices. And they were talking about, you know, this guy had the same spice for 20 years. Says it's not going to go bad, but it loses its flavor. So he says you don't have to worry about them poisoning you, but they're just not going to taste like the ones you just bought. So I don't think the taco
Yeah,
flavor
chili is okay. And
bring
then
the
I've been putting this in my spaghetti. You know, I buy this and onion soup mix and I've been putting it in there. But thank you, yeah, because I did make a bunch of spaghetti and I used up all my Italian seasoning and I bought a new one. And then when we tried it, it was like, whoa, there's way too much because of the...
You'd have to see if what was regular spices won't hurt. I don't know about your package with a bunch of different stuff in it.
Right. If I just had Italian seasoning,
Yeah,
that's
it shouldn't.
perfectly
Yeah,
good.
it shouldn't hurt anything, even though it might not be as flavorful as it was in the beginning.
Right, and that's what I found. It was like half as strong on old bottle. Yeah.
Spices and especially salt are currency in bad times.
Yeah, yeah. I've been buying, these are really cheap. I don't know what brand they are, and I'm not a good cook, so it's good enough for me. But they're like $1 or 70, they're like 77 cents or something. I mean, you can buy really expensive ones, but
Why?
hey, I don't care. Okay, now we're gonna maybe I'll just do one more because of time. Well, now, these are kind of spicy. I'm just gonna do a spaghetti. I want to do one of these because whenever I do the mylar bags, there's not much in there. I use this kind of spaghetti, which Stan hates. It's salad macaroni because it's little bitty macaroni so that it doesn't bend for my mylar bags, because one of the things for complaints about mylar bags is they can poke holes in them and then your stuff's ruined. So if you put real crunchy like these in there are kind of bad. I usually smash them up because they'll poke like regular spaghetti would poke the bag. So when I do spaghetti, I just do these little macaronis. So, oops, there's nothing. And usually when I get done, everything's a big mess. So there's my cup of, we're calling this spaghetti. Okay, and a fourth cup of peppers. Again, I love bell peppers, so there we go. And then my dry spaghetti. Okay, that's what I was doing. I was using this. Then I decided, I don't know about that. So I made some spaghetti sauce mix off of Budget 101. There was a spaghetti sauce mix. It doesn't smell too bad. And it says 1 teaspoon of that. And it's just like oregano and parsley and all that stuff you normally think about with spaghetti. Okay, so I'll put that in there. And then the Italian seasoning stuff. A teaspoon of that. Okay. And then this is my favorite. It's roasted garlic and herb. It smells really good. I'm going to put a teaspoon of that in there. Okay, and see again. You can add, at this point you could add meat to that, your dried beef, or I'll just stick some tacos stuff in there. It doesn't hurt it. And, or you could do it without meat. And then maybe I'll add just a teeny bit more spaghetti. I want my dark. Okay, so now there's spaghetti. Cute, huh? I won't do this one. This one's going to be rice and beans. Kind of the same idea. And so you do this, and then you can make a lot of meals. And the reason why I'm doing this size is because it's me and Stan and our and Chris, and if you got company, you open 2, and it works. And I will seal these in a second. I wanted to show you, Barbara, would you put in an iron? The mylar bag thing.
Oh, is that how you seal the mylar bag iron?
Yes, and they say that's not good, but I say it works.
Well, same principle.
Yeah,
Can't really use the heat
I think
thing.
if you have the big bag like this and you use the iron, one thing I read said it had to be 400 degrees to get a good seal. I don't know if irons go that hot or not, but if I wouldn't do this because I'm afraid it would fall apart. So if I had a big family though,
But if you make all this up, I think you can rent one of those sealers, or not rent it, but borrow one from the camera, and they'll let you bring it
yeah,
home.
I don't know. I asked
Yeah,
him
they
if they
do.
sold them, and he said they didn't seal them, but they probably do rent them.
Yeah, because you could rent a can, or you do number 10 cans also. I mean, not rent, but they'll let you bring it home, check it out.
So again, the church has, as far as I can see, picked out the best stuff there is. So what I do when I want to make a bag, I'm going to do it this way first. Just so, because I just fill my little bag there and get a line. And the biggest thing that I found that was good is I finally opened it up and started trying it, rather than it just sitting there forever. So if I was going to do a big family, like 6 kids and 2 adults, I would do this. I would seal here, I'd cut across the top and fill it that way. You can imagine trying to fill it this way. That'd be crazy to try to hold and seal. So that's what I do, I fill that way. So, but for me, and again, these are serving probably easily 3. It depends on which one it is. Macaroni, it's like not quite as much. And I cut them like this. But once you cut them all up, you gotta iron all these little seams down. That's why you don't get as much space. It's because you're using up your space like that. So I'll show you. Right over here, Stan. I don't mind you guys. It's whoever that camera is making me crazy. But anyways, I have this is real techy. I got a clipboard and an iron. This is the cheapest iron Walmart makes, and you don't put water in it because you don't want anything wet. So, and then I just see how hot we got up here. And the reason they say not to do it with an iron is they just say it's not going to feel as tight. I guess in 5 years, we'll do a review class and say, yeah, it worked, or no, it didn't work, I don't know. But see, I think it does pretty good. So, and then I wanted to show you the mylar bags and the little system I use there, and how fast this is. So, yeah. Uh-oh, put it over there. So all I'm doing is so I still have an opening on the top. Okay. If I had tons of money, I would just go buy all the really fancy stuff and do it lots of jars or something, but I guess I do have a part on there about pros and cons of jars and mylar bags. The pros of jars is that bugs and rodents and things cannot get in them. They, you can see what you have. They need to be stored in a darker area. You don't want them out in sunlight, of course, with anything. Okay, now I got 8 of these. I'm gonna put this a second, Barbara, and I'll put it again. And then, the pros with, what I like about the mylar bags is they're lightweight. See that little container there? I got them at the dollar store. I can get 10 in there. So you line up 5 up and 5 across, and you've got 100 meals in this much space. I mean, if you look at this, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up here, that's 100 meals, which is no space at all. Okay. And so far I haven't had any problems. The one thing I did not know is that mice can chew through these. So I haven't come over. I've never had mice before, but I'll keep watching it. And then a lot of people will put them in plastic buckets or something to protect them. Okay, so let me get my little, here we go. Here it is. So when I do my mylar bags, this is what I like about these, is, so now I'm just going to say I have 8 of these. Sometimes I do 10, that one I did crooked. Okay. Now the oxygen absorbers, they sell these at the church cannery. They're 10 cents a piece. There's 100 in here, so it's $10. And these will last a long time. And then what I do is I buy 25 of these and cut them into 4. So I have 100 left up. And the one thing I didn't know, but I did right, is they sell this little flippy-doo thing here. Because if I opened this bag and left it on the counter for an hour, these would be all gone. They would be all used up. They'd absorb the oxygen in the room, and they wouldn't be any good. So whenever you open this, you need to refill them. And you can leave them out for, you know, as long as you're doing this. But I usually take out what I need, seal them back up, and put them back in the car. So just, so you don't waste $10 and then you put them all in your stuff and it doesn't work. Way to know if it works. Let's see.
How much are the mylar bags?
These are 30 cents a piece
And they sell them
at the cannery.
one
You can buy
individually?
one.
Okay.
I usually buy 25. And I don't know if they sell the oxygen absorbers smaller. I usually just buy the whole pack.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, I don't think so. But if you think about it, these are less than 18 cents to store a meal compared to a jar, which is what, 80 cents maybe to sell, to store. And then one thing I found out too is I was wondering why. Look at my taco one. It's really sealed up tight. And this one is no, that's not good.
So do you write on them while they're flat before you fill them?
That's the smartest thing to do.
I
I heard that. You know, you could write all that after they're sealed up, but then you don't want to do 5 different kinds. I'm like, which one's which? But,
Surprise.
yeah, surprise.
Mystery meal.
Yeah, but these are creamy potatoes, and all this is I have a can of creamy soup, Augustin Farms. It's really good, creamy potato soup, and I just stuck a bunch of potatoes in there, and I call it creamy soup. But notice it's not as tight, and I got online and it said for some reason the grains in that seal up tighter than the flours. I don't know why, but if you wonder if something isn't working, that's what I was thinking. Why didn't this one work? And that's just what they said. Okay. So then what I do, am I making any sense? Sort of? Okay. Then what I do, say I'm going to do spaghetti. So I do a lot of spaghetti. Okay? I do 8 spaghettis at a time. So I line it all up, and I take this, and I'm going to have a cup of spaghetti in here. So, I have cup in there. This will spill a little easier too. The jars are funner because you can see what you got, but this is how fast it is to make this meals. Let's see. I'm a little nervous when my hands are going. white just because of how it fits in the little bags better. Okay. I'm not timing myself, but I bet you I can do 8 meals in 10 minutes.
So how does Macy's prices compare with Honeyville Farms?
What's that?
How do Macy's prices compare with
You
Honeyville
know,
Farms?
I was surprised because normally this is $26.98 at Macy's, and it's $28.98 at Walmart, and it's about that at Honeyville Farms. But I ran down there today and it was on sale for $19.98. So that's a huge discount. They told me the prices they have online are more than what they have in the store if you actually go there. But I don't know. You just call them and say, you know, how much is this? Because I didn't bring Augustine Farms. The vegetables are a little nicer with Honeyville. They're, well, you can see them. You know, they're a little crispier. And the corn I bought at Augustine Farms was like more powdery. It was corn, but like smushed stuff in it with it. And so it
Cream
was
corn?
Corny. What?
Was it like cream corn?
It could be, yeah. You put some cream soup base with it, yeah.
I think you need to point out too that in the different brands of dried foods, there's differences in taste of the same type of item. So you kind of have to experiment a little bit to find out what you like and what you don't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you like, now Stan hates macaroni, so too bad.
That's why she's making 8 macaroni meals. I'm going to starve to death.
I would eat spaghetti every day, so made for me. I don't have spaghetti a lot. But, okay, I don't know how many of these I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, close it. Did you have a question? Nope. And this is like I'm using a lot, but I buy this on sale for 88 cents a bag, and 1 bag is 4 cups. So for 22 cents, I have a meal. Then you add what you want. And if all you could afford to add was tomato paste, it's still better than just noodles.
Spaghetti marinara.
So, you know, the cheese powder is really good, and it's a little pricey. It's about $15 a can, but you can make lots of cheese things with that, macaroni and cheese, and it's really good. So if I was only going to buy 2 cans of extras, it would be the cheese and the tomato. You know, then they have all the other stuff you can do. Okay, so here's my spaghetti. So there's my noodles. There's my little, and I'm going to put a 4th of a cup peppers over here. Now, Charlene, do you see why we don't go out to eat all the time? I'm home making meals. And you got a kind of beefy sound with this.
Susan, do you feel like you can leave those cans, your peppers and your mixed vegetables and that, can you leave those open? Or do you put a plastic cap on them or something? And
yeah, they have it.
you don't feel like you have to use that whole can once it's open?
I'm glad you asked that. They said to use them within a year. If you just have them on your shelf and you look in and out of them, they said to use them in about a year. When I talked to the guy this morning, he said, and I said, does it lose half its shelf life once you open it? He said, no. Just, you know, I don't know why, but he said no. So. And again, I guess if they put this stuff out and advertise it with their company, I'm thinking they must know what they're doing, because they couldn't say, oh, this is good for 10 years and then have 50 people get sick. So, I'm going on their credit, kind of. Okay, and then I'm going to do my, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do my spaghetti spice here. So, I'll put a tablespoon of that in each one of these. And this is just a thing I got at the store.
Yeah. 25 years ago, my mother bought freeze-dried food. I mean, enough for her and Jean for 3 years, you know, 3 years of supply food. And it had been 25 years, so she's going to throw it away. And I said, no, don't. And
Yeah.
I said, call them. And they said, don't ever throw it away. He says, it's lost some food value, it will never rot. He says, just keep it. So you don't, even though it's past its shelf life, he says, don't ever, just don't throw it away. It's better
Yeah,
than
I'm
nothing.
glad you
Still
said that.
calories and then just throw a vitamin pill in.
Well, you know,
Well, and the church cannery now, they used to say, what, 10 or 15 years? They're saying 30 years
yeah.
on beans and rice and oats and
But
wheat.
it's freeze dried and the things in these cans, it's just, you know, it's cold.
I did when we went down there one time, I asked the lady, because we canned, I don't know how many cans of split peas. The little, I must have bought a bag of them and we have, I don't know how many cans. And they're as hard as a rock. And we tried to soak them, and by the time they got soft enough, we figured they were probably rotten because they sat there for 4 days. They were
Well, it was the mold growing on them that
Yeah.
gave that away.
Yeah, I mean, they just wouldn't soften up. And we have like 8 cans of these beans, split peas. And the lady at Honeyville said, well, don't throw them away, just grind them up.
That'd be the grinder.
And grind them up and add it to your soups or something.
Yep.
So, all right,
If
I
you
bought,
have a pressure cooker, that might do well.
I don't know, I don't, but anyways.
If you have a pressure cooker, your name is on the NSA list.
Okay.
Or if you have food storage yard too,
Oh, I
so
wanted to.
we're all in trouble.
And then, this is taking a little longer because I'm talking and losing track. But I'll just put some little more spices in there.
If you get a real spicy one, you know what happens.
She put it in twice.
Let me explain something. That's noodly stuff. I won't be getting any of that.
Okay. And then, it's a little harder to seal these because you kind of got to wipe them and tap them down and get some space. I don't know if I should pass one of these around. Put them all in the bottom there. So see, now that's the same amount I added here, and I added more spaghetti to that. 5 minutes, oh, whoops, these are good. So, here. I will pass this around. You smell, it smells like spaghetti. You want to pass that one over
Oh,
here?
we can smell it over here
You
already.
can smell it over there, you can smell, oh, I've got too much spices in there. And see, that's what my kids said. Not enough spices, way too much spices.
Smells good.
Is it texture?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you put the O2 absorber in those as well?
What's that?
Do you put an
Eat every
O2
noodle in the
absorber
steak.
in
Yep,
that as
that's
well?
exactly what I'm gonna do now.
It's his favorite food.
Yeah, this is pretty spicy, but I figure in 10 years when I've eaten them, some of those spices have lost half their flavor, right? So it'd be perfect. Okay, okay. Then what you do, uh-oh, that's falling through my mouth in here. I'm gonna spill them all over. Okay, now that this is a little bit hot, it's a little hard, but,
So can you use like, one of the food saver vacuum deals to seal those with, or?
you know, you can on the jars, and I've heard that, I mean, I don't know if I don't have a food seal, but people say it's really hard to do because stuff falls out.
Oh, okay.
You know, because it's kind of hard to get in there and squish it in there. Oh, I need my oxygen absorbers. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I got 10, 11. Okay. Then what I do is I just take 11 of these out of here.
That's kind of good. Use that for trail mix. Take a pink.
That has 8, 3, 11.
Probably.
You could just
What's that? Oh, what do they know? I know that. Oh, that's good. I researched that. They are, find them. Oxygen absorbers, include a mixture of iron powder and sodium chloride, organic molecular further preserving products and removing odors. When oxygen absorbers is removed from its protective package, which is this, the moisture in the surrounding atmosphere begins to permeate into iron particles inside of the absorber, and the moisture goes down to like less than 1%. Is what happens.
Okay, iron what was it?
Well, I don't know. Iron oxide.
Thank you.
Okay. So, anyways, so then we put one of these on here. Okay. And put those on there. I probably could have a little bit more food in here. But do I put an oxygen in there?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And then I'll put it in here. And this Chef Tess, if you go on her blog and the video, she does minestrone soup, and she does some other soups, and she does like one-person meals, and she does pork with the bigger jars.
How much trouble do you have sealing the mylar with the little tiny particles of spices and stuff that are in there?
You watch. You'll see here. Yeah, you gotta
kind of wipe the inside first?
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, let me get my, this is the part I gotta remember too. I'm gonna stick my bags in all of them. Fine. I've done this and I had to cut one open and put a bag in there, and I lost a lot of space.
Susan, the other night on one of the Sportsman's Guide or whatever, there was 132 meals that you could buy on there, and it was like $400 and something for 132 meals for
Wow.
and stuff. So this seems like it's a lot less expensive
These
to do it
are-
this way.
Yeah.
Very much.
Check out the price. These are anywhere from about $1 to $1.25 a bag. The most expensive one is if you put the vegetables, the beans, and the meats
So
in
if you
them.
had 100 of them, you got probably 300 meals for $100.
Or 300 for 300.
But this feeds 2 or 3 people.
Right, that's what I mean, 300 meals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those were all single meals that were online.
Right. The some of those Randy Saxton, we were doing a bunch of stuff a year ago or so, and he bought, I don't even know what brand it was, but it was one of those buckets, and it said 72 meals or something, and we opened it up and went to dinner, and it was like, remind me again, 6 packages of all the same thing, and each package fed 4 people. And we were kind of disappointed, because it was like, oh, you gotta eat this whole bag, and that's 8 meals. And there were maybe 2 different kinds. So it was, you gotta really look at the packaging to know what you're giving.
You can buy those mylar bags for about 40 cents a piece, already made in that size with a Ziploc on the top of it. So you could close it and then seal it.
Okay.
We use them at work all the time.
Oh, do you? Oh, you know. Okay. Am I saying anything that you need to add?
No, you're doing great. I'm
Okay.
just saying that if you want to get it with a
It's really
Ziploc,
hard.
you can.
Where do you get those?
I'll have to look for it.
This is Ziploc.
Oh, U-line.
This
What's
is
that?
Ziploc.
U-line, U-L-I-N-E.
It's not usually.
This is
It's a
Ziploc
place that
seal.
you
I mean, is there a guarantee on the seal on the Ziploc bag for a year, or? is it
Well,
just-
what we do is we put stuff in them and then they seal them and then we use a heater,
Oh,
like the iron to seal them
Okay.
outside.
yeah, because if you just Ziploc them and
It wouldn't just be Ziploc.
if you didn't iron them, they wouldn't.
Is the Ziploc down inside a little bit so you got room
Yeah,
to
so
seal
you
it
got room
above
to
it?
seal it on the top.
I got it.
I've gotten, so I just hold it there and squish it and then iron.
So the Ziploc will keep the contents in while you seal it.
And
Yeah,
then
that
you
might
could
be
use it.
easier. And I imagine doing
Horizontal
this
seal.
big is harder than doing bigger. I don't know. I did some half sizes at Christmas time, and they were a lot easier to do because it didn't take up as much stuff. So these are probably the hardest to seal. Now, according to what I read, this probably has a shelf life of 7 to 10 years, which is amazing to think that you put this out in your trailer, well, I don't know, but he put it in your cupboard, and in 7 years, eat it. And it's as good as today. This one's really hard to get. Just put a little bit more in there. This one's got 3 times the spices, right? It's hard to feel. Normally I can do a whole bunch of it. I'll just decide I'm going to do spaghetti and I'll do 10 spaghetti. And then I decide I'm going to do chili and I'll do 10 chilies. Like that.
How long did you say those last?
You know, what they've told me is, you look at everything I put in here, and like the tomato paste is 10 to 15 years, and
Going
the
off
beans
the
are,
ingredients.
and this the lowest, the least
The least.
number was 7 years. She said the figure, this is 7 years.
Okay, so that's why you said 7 years, okay.
I know there's something I'm forgetting.
That's why the soup
Oh,
box
I
sounds
know
like a
that.
good
You
idea.
cannot, you can't, oh, I'm gonna run out of time. Are you guys okay for a couple more minutes? Where's my wandering one? Is it there? That one. Yeah, the whole room probably looks like spaghetti room, doesn't it?
These things are interesting.
Here it is. And this tastes just like spaghetti. The tomato paste is amazing. Like, you know, SpaghettiOs, how it has that funny orangey, I don't know, orange taste. I don't know if orange has a taste, but this tastes just like tomato sauce. There you go. So that's how I do it, and then I just stick them in these little things, and I all label these
Susan,
before I do it.
did you put a oxygen absorber in that one?
Yes. Yep, I did. So there, and I just put a little label on the front of that, and I say, that's spaghetti. And you can usually get 10 in there. And then I write on it with a permanent marker. Okay, the other thing, so there's something else I forgot. Oh, I know it, the best part. What happened is I was making a bunch of macaroni and cheese and creamy dishes, and they quit making the cream-based soup mix in the can like this. And I thought, oh no, now what am I going to do? Because people are asking me for recipes, and it's like, I don't know how I'm going to make this anymore. And so, the Budget 101 has just about every soup mix you can imagine on there. And you know the old flour and cornstarch and your basic, you know, cheap gravy, or what do you call that? I don't know. Or dry,
Milk gravy, okay.
yeah, like just your potato, or if you're going to have a white sauce with the hamburger in it, put it over biscuits. It's just your flour and your dry milk, and so, and then some spices. So I can make all that twice as cheap now with just going on this Budget 101 and finding mixes. And that's what this is. It's a little, I don't know if I want this smell or not. It actually tastes good. This is potato soup, and all the companies sell potato soup. And do you know what it is? It's potato flakes and dry milk and spices. And you can make gallons of it if you've got 40 cans of dried potatoes. So I thought, do you want to, I don't know,
Was it potato flakes or?
potato flakes. It's potato flakes. It's pretty much even.
Pearls or?
No, it's just, well, I don't know, you can try it. It's potato flakes and dry milk and a lot of spices. And then I added a whole other cup of dry milk and potatoes to that because it was really spicy. But it tastes a lot just like the milk. So in 2 minutes, I'll finish up what I was going to get to. And that is what's for dinner. You guys have some ideas now? That's kind of good. What I'm excited about is I'm going to finish up these cans that I've opened. This is my next plan. And put them in probably mylar bags because I don't have hundreds of jars. In an earthquake, if the jars fall off the shelf, you got glass in all your food. So that's why I'm doing mylar bags, and just to make sure I don't really my food. People like the jars better because they're cuter. People say they have little shelves by their jars so they won't fall off, and that might work. The whole house fell down, you probably I don't know, you're in trouble anyways, but, so that's all your choice on how you do that. But, what I'm gonna do now is use up the canned, stuff I have, because you need to use it within a year, and make a bunch more meals, and I bought a brand new book. Where's Barbara? I ran to Honeyville the day after work, because I had to have it, and Stan was like, why do you have to go do that? But I did, and it's exciting, because it's like, that's all this book is. And then, so for my food storage, what I'm going to do is bring up a jar of rice out of my basement. Now this is instant rice, so it's going to be a little different, because I've done instant rice and instant quick cook beans. Because in an emergency situation, you're not going to want to use an hour's worth of fuel to cook your rice. You know, that you want something a little quicker. But at home and everything's fine, I'm going to bring up cans of my rice from my food storage. They're getting kind of hard, but if you soak them a while, they're good. And I can make these meals with my rice. I'm going to bring up my pinto beans out of the basement, soak them overnight, and I can make chili, taco soup, everything the same. You just have to cook that stuff on the side. Same with the macaroni. We did open our macaroni the other night, and I had a stomach ache the next day. I don't know. 20-year-old macaroni. And I think Brother White said that they opened their macaroni too. It looked fine. So in about 2 weeks, I'm going to try it again. And if I get another stomach ache, I'll figure the macaroni's not any good. I didn't bring it tonight, so you're not going to, nobody's going to fight me. But, and then the wheat, you make your bread. The rice, you come up, you add your stuff, and you make your meals. And you just start using that stuff in the basement all the time. And then, if we ever did have a situation where that's what you've had, you will have been using it, you'll have been making recipes with it, and you'll have it already in your system, and hopefully we'll survive without this, that one little picture that had a little scoop of beans and a little scoop of rice, because that looks horrible, and I don't think there's anything else. So I'm really excited to get to that point where I'm using more of our just regular food storage. Let's see. I had just tips. If you're out buying at Macy's, they have sliced potatoes, diced potatoes, mashed potatoes, hash brown potatoes. I would recommend the diced potatoes because you can use them in more variety than anything else. You know, they're scrunchier, they're littler, and you could have them with eggs, or you could have them with beef stew, or you could have them in any way. And these are like to take up longer.
What is the brand on those?
These were Augustin Farm. No, actually these aren't. They look like this. They look the same. We actually went to Honeyville Farms and bought 40 pounds of potatoes, and I split them with another girl in the ward. So I had 20 pounds of sliced potatoes, and I saved my cans, and I filled up 10 cans, so I figured it was about $2.50 to $2.75 a can, compared to $7 a can when you buy them in bulk. So that's why your food storage, when you're using it, will be so much cheaper. Let's see, I use macaroni. Then I already gave you the tip with the potato flakes. Oh, another thing is we tried this the other night, and it wasn't bad. This is the Old Knox gelatin. Is anybody older than me? I remember my mom using this. These are eggs, and we made cookies the other night, and I used powdered shortening, so I didn't use any wet ingredients. Everything in the cookies were dry ingredients, and they weren't too bad. But one little package is 2 eggs, and you could substitute these. Our neighbors have chickens. We could just trade maybe, but these are good for eggs. Let's see. Then I read online back in the late 1800s, and I don't know who would want to try this to see if it works. I know, Stan. Are you guys okay? They said they used to take their eggs and rub them in oil, put them the little side down back in the thing, because if you put them sideways, they go, I don't know, balance. And they said they're good for a long time if they're in a cool, dry, dark place. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, those actually, okay, whatever. But I watched this TV show called Doomsday Preppers. And there's a lady down in Provo that was on there. And that's what she does. She'll buy the eggs by the flats.
Oh, okay.
And she takes them and she gets the eggs and she rubs them with oil. And then she puts them back on the flat and put them like in her cool room. And she had eggs down there for like a year. And she had this big party at her house and she cooked them. And everybody, you know, this was after she gave the class and everything down there. And everybody ate them and they said, these are great.
Nobody got sick.
Yeah, they didn't even know what they were.
I don't know, I don't want to recommend anything, but that's what it says it on Google, so it's gotta be. Right?
Can't trust Wikipedia, but Google's 100%.
Does anybody have any other questions on any of this?
Kind of your average cook time for a meal in the pint jar is just 20 minutes or something?
Yeah, about that. The thing that's hard is some of this stuff is so little tight that it takes a while for it to hydrate back up. Is that the right word? So, I mean, I don't mind eating a little crunchy, but Stanley's always saying, no, it's still crunchy still. And then I find that my sauce is kind of soaked into it, so I add a little bit more water. So you always got to play with the water a little bit, because some things cook faster than others. So, anything else? Anyways, this is what I've been doing for, I don't know, months, and it's really fun. And anyways, I feel like we have a lot of food storage for our families and our grandkids and our kids, and hopefully it's still good in 7 years.
Sorry, are the potatoes in that same section that those Honeyville, like that food storage section of me, that's where they're at? And you said you bought the 40 pounds where?
Honeyville Farm.
At the Honeyville Farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you buy it bulk at the Honeyville?
You know, yeah, and I'm sure.
Where did Honeyville Farm?
I'm sure somebody probably already saw
You know where Honeyville is?
Y'all may already be doing it, but as you might know about, you know, forming like a loose co-op and, you know, like everybody going in together and buying stuff, maybe getting like a large order over there. Maybe get a little bit less expensive and then splitting it up.
I'm glad you said that, because this is so pricey, you know, and if you're not sure you want it, if you have two friends together and you say, let's go split a can, and you try it and you try it, you know, that's
Or
what
if
you
you
do.
bought it in bulk, like 100-pound sack, you
Yeah.
might get a lot better deal.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you get something different. You get a treat. I didn't bring treats. I have cookie cards.
I'm the emergency prep specialist for the 4th Ward, and a couple months ago I had a 5th Sunday training, and in that I got some samples from Daily Bread on teriyaki chicken and rice, and so I'd like to give one to everybody here, one per family, so we have enough to give them out. So I've got 10 or 12 here, so and then also there's a brochure in here about what they sell. And I had food storage like this in number 10 cans because I used to work at the cannery as a missionary for 2 years. And so I had all this, and I gave it all away, took it down to the food bank downtown. Because I have all this. All I have to do, I don't cook, my wife doesn't cook. We eat out every night, except when we're...
That's the last one I want.
Don't tell her that.
That's what I want.
So this is just boil water. Everything is in there. You boil water, and it tells you on the back here how much water is boiled, you put it in there. So I want to give you this to try it, to see what you think about it.
MRE.
Did you go with that because of the taste or the convenience?
No, you just pick one. They're all basically the same.
Yeah, it's
And so I just pick one. You know, we don't have any talent in my house. We just have more money than a talent. So we went with this.
Is anybody in here old enough to remember the old Permapack foods?
Yep.
I got some that's probably at least 40 years old and I'm a little afraid to try it.
It'll still be
No, that was what my
calories.
mother had. She
Just
held on it.
get
And
a
they said,
fresh
"Don't
new
get rid of it."
vitamin pill and take that at the same time.
This is 25 years, but as they said, don't get rid of it. So,
And if you buy one of their kits, they'll throw in a really nice backpack.
When you open cans
So
or
just take
bottles
one
or
and
jars, your nose and your eyes will tell you if you eat it or not.
If it stinks, don't eat it.
Yeah.
Brent, you can remind him, well, I'll just remind him, next week we're going to be here again, and next week we're going to be talking about different ways of cooking, fire, heating things up, and surviving with heat.
Right.
Are you talking
Mike's
about
gonna do this next week.
We can, I can
Fire.
include that in there, about electric or propane rather, generators, is that what you're talking about?
How much power you need.
Okay, sure, I'll add that in.
Natural gas.
Yeah.
And one other thing is, I've done a half a day, half a dozen 7-day fast, which is water. After that, you'll eat anything, it don't matter, even the noodles, you'll like those.
I don't know about the cookbook, but one thing I've seen online, and I tried to make rice pudding, and it's actually really good, but then I read that you don't put oxygen absorbers in sugar, because it'll, like, brown sugar will take all the oxygen and make it really hard. So far it's okay, but it's probably only like 3 months old, no, 12, 13.
And don't eat the oxygen absorber.
No. And then also date everything. I put dates on everything I do too.
That's nice. Communitypg.us. And all of this information plus lots more.
And I hope it hasn't passed, but wasn't there emergency preparedness thing that Peterson Tractor or something?
Yeah, I heard that they was gonna do a big thing on a Saturday.
Does anybody remember the date?
I can't remember because I knew I was gonna be out of town.
Who was it? Who was gonna do it? There's some kind of event that the expired Peterson Tractor place, they're doing like Saturday, I don't know, it's
Emergency
gonna become
Preparedness Fair.
yeah, craft fair or something, but they were going to include emergency preparedness, so. I think the inaugural one, I just don't remember when it was.
Yeah, I remember that, I just should have wrote it down.
Okay.
Which is community PG.
Yeah.
Done what?
US. Yeah,
Pass
that's a
the
neat,
list.
it's a real neat site.
I need to pass a list for anybody that didn't sign up
Plus,
last
we're gonna
week.
get other communities to build satellite sites on it. Thanks for coming. Come next week, we'll have another great show.
Good, how you doing?
We're just coming to your house. You'll be better than everybody.
Danielle and Mick Collins, this is Trevor. Next week.
Thank you.